Alright, here we have the Chapter 6 review, Form J, and this is the second review that you got. So it says expand 6h plus 2 squared. So there's two ways to do it. You can go 6h plus 2 times 6h plus 2, or you could simply do that shortcut. But if you don't know the shortcut yet, I'm just going to FOIL it with you. So it says first, so we have 6h times 6h, which gives us 36h squared. Plus, then we have here, we have 6 times the 2, 6h times 2, which is 12h. And then we have inner, which is another 12h. And then last, which is 2 times 2, which is 4. Alright, so now we're going to combine like terms. So we have 36h squared plus 12 and 12 is 24h plus 4. And that is our answer. This one says to convert to vertex form. So to remember the formula to find the x of your vertex is negative b over 2a. So we have negative b means opposite. So we have 6, because negative 6, so it's 6 over 2a, which a is 3. So that means we have 6 divided by 6, which is 1. So our vertex x we know that the x value is 1. So that means now we have to find out what the y value is. So y, we're going to plug it in. So y equals 3 times 1 squared minus my 6 times my 1 plus 2. Plugging in that 1 in for my x's. So we have 3 minus 6 plus 2 gives me a negative 1. So that means my vertex was negative 1. And remember, your vertex form is you have y and the opposite of what's in the y spot, so it's plus 1 is equal to your a, which remember a is still there, so is 3 times x minus, or the opposite of your x, and in this case it's 1, so it's negative 3 squared. So that is our answer. So now the square root of a negative is I, so the square root of 49 is 7, so we have 7i, and we're going to multiply that by 8, because 8 is the square root of 64. So 8 times 7 is 56, and then I times I is I squared. We know I squared is a negative 1, so we have 56 times a negative 1, which equals a negative 56. Find all solutions to, then we have the negative 5x squared is equal to negative 3x plus 5. Now you can bring this to either side, it doesn't really matter. Most of you probably would have bring it to the other side, so I have 0 is equal to 5x squared minus 3x plus 5, just adding 5x squared to both sides. So now I can use my quadratic equation, which is negative b, so the opposite of b is 3. So we have negative b, so we have 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 3 squared is 9, minus 4a and c. So we have 5 and 5 all over 2a, which is 5. Alright, so let's clean it up a little bit. So we have, I'm just going to put underneath the square root, so I'm going to put my 9 minus 4 times 25, so it's a negative 91. So we have 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 91 all over 10. Well, since the square root of 91 doesn't break down anymore, there's no more perfects than 91, the only thing we have to do is take out that negative. So our final answer is 3 plus or minus I square roots of 91 all over 10. Alright, next batch. So how do I solve this? See how there's a square there? So the opposite's the square root. So we take the square root of both sides. So I have t minus 1 is equal to the square root of negative 5 is I square roots of 5. And it's plus or minus because it is the square root. Then I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I have t is equal to 1 plus or minus I square roots of 5. That is your answer. So just so you know, there are two answers here. The first one is 1 plus I square roots of 5, and the second one is 1 minus I square roots of 5. Alright, number 6. Simplify. We have negative 7 plus 2I times negative 7 plus 2I. So we're going to FOIL it. So we're going to have first, which negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Then we have our outer, which gives us a negative 14i. Inner, which is a negative 14i. And last, we have 4i squared because we have 2i times 2i. So that gives me 4i squared. But we know I squared is a negative 1. So I'm going to cross that out and I'm going to call that a negative 1. So we have 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And I'm adding it to, I'll clean it up. I have 49 minus 14i, and 14i is 28i. And then 4 times your negative 1, which is negative 4. So the last step is just combining the 49 and the 4. So we have 45 minus 28i. Now this one says simplify, but there's just a subtraction in the middle. So that means you have 9 minus a negative 2, and then we have plus 6i minus I. So 9 plus these change to plus because it's negative and negative is positive. So you have 9, 10, 11. So you have 11 plus 6i minus I is 5i. Alright, so now we got number 8. It says that the graph y equals x squared is translated 4 units to the left and 5 units up. So it went 4 units to the left, and then it went up 5 units. So our vertex then, this would be our x-axis, this would be our x number, right? So we have 4 units to the left, so our vertex is at negative 4, because this vertex is at 0, 0. So we have negative 4, and then it went up, so that means that we have 5. So now what we do, this is our vertex of it, so what you would do is put it into vertex form. So that means what's in your y spot is 5, and it goes opposite. So you have y minus 5 is equal to your a, which a is 1, so say that. So a is 1, and so you leave that, so you have x, negative 4, so your opposite, plus 4 squared. Alright, number 9. How many real solutions does 5x squared plus 10x plus c have? And they have c as a negative 4 the first time, and then c is 7. So real solutions, remember, is by the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So now this is going to be a, this is going to be b, and then c the first time will be negative 4, the next time will be 7. So b squared, which is 10 squared, which is 100, minus 4a, which is 5, and c the first time is 4. So the first one we have, just plugging it into the calculator, we have 100 minus 4 times 5 times negative 4 gives me 180. So the first, since it's 180, and remember that this is under the square root sign, so that means that there are going to be 2 solutions, 2 real solutions, because the discriminant is underneath the square root sign of the quadratic. So that was A. B says that b squared still is 100 minus 4a is still 5, but now c this time is 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring up what I just had and delete the negative 4, and put a 7 in there instead. So now I get a negative 40. Now what does that tell me? That tells me that I'm going to have 0 real solutions, and then also remember that tells you that you have 0 x-intercepts. That's what that also tells you. Alright, number 10. Consider the following sets of numbers. Name all of them that are irrational numbers. Remember that an irrational number is a number that never repeats. It's a number that cannot be written as a fraction, because rational can be written as a fraction. So that means that 16 is rational, 4/9 is rational, 9i, well that's non-real, that's what b is, so 9i actually goes there. 10 is rational. The square root of a negative 12, that's a non-real. And then square root of 8. Well, let's see what that is. So the square root of 8 is a non-repeating decimal. And if I wanted to see if I go fraction, I'd probably try to put it in a fraction, and it can't do that either. So that means it's irrational. So that means the square root of 8 is the only number in that group that is irrational. Alright, we are then on to the back page. Alright. Alright. It says that the height of a ball thrown upward from a cliff at t seconds is given by this formula. What is the initial height? Remember that right here is the initial height from the formula, so 18 is the initial height. When did the ball reach its maximum height? So when did the ball reach its maximum height? So well, let's see, remember the maximum height then would be your vertex. So we can find out the x value, and in this case that will be the t. So we know that t is equal to negative b over 2a. So we have negative b, which is negative 32 over 2 times my negative 16. And so we have, what is 2 times 16, class? Is your 32, so that's negative. So we have negative 32 divided by negative 32. that is 1. So now we need to know what the height is. So the height, or does it say just when? So yeah, so that just wanted the 1, but we're gonna have to know the height in a second anyways. So let's find out what the maximum height is. The maximum height is -16 times 1 squared plus my 32 times 1 plus 18. So we'll put that into our calculator, and it will really be your -16 plus your 32 plus your 18. So the maximum height is 34. The reason we'll need that is because D says that they want you to graph it. Alright, so we know that B, when will it happen, is at 1 second. Alright, so C, it says, when will the ball hit the ground? So remember, what you're going to do is you're going to set this equal to 0. So when will the height equal 0? So you can find the quadratic equation. So we have here negative B, so -32 plus or minus the square root of B squared, so 32 squared, minus 4A, which is -32, or A, which is -16, and then C, which is your 18, and sorry, I'm squeezing it in here, all over 2A to -16. So if you put this into your calculator, you'll get a positive and a negative number, and you only can have the positive number, because the negative numbers, you can't have a negative time. So that means you should get approximately 2.5, and that would be seconds. My pen ran a little bit. Alright, so, and then part D says to graph it. So our maximum, it started at 18, and then we have a maximum height of the y of 34. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 of them. You know what, I'm just going to go by tens. So we have 10, 20, 30. So this is 30. And so 10, 20, so 18 is about right there for the initial height. Then the maximum height at 1, it's 34. So it's about right there. And then we're going by ones this way. And then it hits the ground at 2.5. So that means it hits about right there. So sketching the graph would look like that. Alright, number 12. Number 12 says that a rectangular plot of land is 150 feet by 200 feet. So this is 200 and that's your 150. With a ditch around it of W. What is the area of the land with the irrigation ditch in expanded form? So if this is 200, then what would you have to add to this side? Would be W, and this side would be W. So it's 200 plus 2W. And it's length times width. So that's my length. My width would be 150 plus 2W. And now it says expanded form, so that means I have to multiply it out. So I have, usually we have, so it doesn't matter, but anyways, 2W times 2W gives me 4W squared. And then we have inner and outer. So I have 2 times 150 is 300w plus 2 times 200 is 400. And then 400w, and the last is your 200 times your 150, which is 30,000. Alright, so now we're just going to combine like terms, which are these. So our final answer is 4w squared plus 700w plus 30,000. Alright, number 13. 13 says, consider the parabola with the equation y plus 3 equals x minus 2 squared. What is its vertex? So remember, the vertex is what's with the x is the x spot, and the one that is not with the x and what's with the y is your y. So that's minus 3, and it's always opposite, so that is our vertex. Is 2, negative 3. Then it says, what are the x-intercepts? Well, what is your y when you are hitting here? What are my y values? Is 0. So we have 0 plus 3 is equal to x minus 2 squared. So this is gone. So we have 3 is equal to x minus 2 squared. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I have plus or minus the square root of 3 is equal to x minus 2. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So x is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. So in your calculator, you're going to say 2 plus the square root of 3. And then the same entry, second entry, and then I'm going to change that plus to a minus, and that's a 0.267. So we have x is equal to 3.73, and the other one is 0.268. Alright, then it says to sketch the graph. So remember, my vertex is 2, 1, 1, 2, negative 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we know it opens up because the A is positive. And we have here it's 3.7 and 0.26, so way over here. So those are our intersects. Alright, give the number of x-intercepts of the parabola. Remember, that'll be your discriminant, which is under it, so it's b squared minus 4ac. So a, we have b, there's 0, minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 2. So we have a negative, negative is positive, 4 times 2 is 8. So since it's a positive number, and it's a number, it's not 0, that means that we have 2. B is b squared, so it's negative 2 squared, so it's 4, minus 4a, which is 4, and c, which is 3. So I have in my calculator 4 minus 4 times 3, which is a negative 44. So that means there's no real solutions. So that means that there's no x-intercepts. Alright, and I told you guys that you could skip 15, so that gives us to 16. If you're given a focus, remember that this one is, by your definitions, same as 0 and 1 over 4a. So that means that 10 equals 1 over 4a. So I'm going to say that 10 equals 1 over 4a. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4a. So this gets gone. So I have 4 times 10, which is 40a, equals 1. How can I solve for a now? Divide by 40. So a equals 1 over 40. So now remember that your equation is y equals ax squared. So I'm just going to plug this in for my a. So I have my equation is y is equal to 1 over 40 x squared. I also told you guys could skip 17 and 18, so I'm skipping those at this time and talking about these last few problems. Number 19, congruent. A parabola is congruent as long as you have the same number. 5 is the same number as 5, and actually is the same in a parabola as negative 5, because this negative only tells us that it opens down. But it's the same, this is the same side, and this just moves it from right to left. But 1/5 is not congruent, so that is our answer. 20i times I is 20i squared. I squared is a negative 1, so you have 20 times a negative 1, so that equals negative 20. And the last one we have is, it says y minus x, so we have y, which is minus x, so we have y is 10 plus 2i, and we're going to minus 8 minus 4i. Alright? And so now we're going to take this negative and put it to each one. So we have 10 plus 2i minus 8, negative is positive, and we have 4i. So combining like terms, we have 10 and negative 8 gives me 2. And then we have 2i and 4i gives me a 6i.